Hey Bryce, how's it going?
It's going all right. You know what? Since the last time that we did this, I actually spent some time doing some work. I know I usually don't do work, even when I'm at work. It's a struggle of mine, but I actually did work, and I think I have actually come up with a coherent list.
The list.
Which
promised.
Yes. To remind everyone, the list of the top 5 people that you were allowed to cheat on.
The top 5 people that you were allowed to cheat with.
Cheat with, yeah.
Cheat with. I mean, I don't think Benedict Cumberbatch is gonna care that I'm taken right now. I don't think he's like that whore. So I'm not cheating on Benedict. I'm not cheating on the fictional characters that are a part of my list. I mean,
cheating with. Okay, I'm not used to the verbiage talking about infidelity. It's not something that comes up quite often in my life.
Well, that's what makes you a good person, is that you have already pre-thought that, no, probably wouldn't do this. But okay.
I feel like you're giving me a lot more credit saying that I've actually thought about it.
Well, okay, that makes you an even better person, that you didn't have to think about, like, would I cheat on someone? No, I would not. You just automatically went to default settings, no cheating. That makes you even better. It's like, I don't have to think about this. Of course I wouldn't. That's how it works.
You're making me sound like a lot
just
better
say
guy
thank
than
you.
I think I am. Thank you.
There you go.
Okay. But yeah, so this list.
Yeah.
Now, some of them are the same, some are not. Some are kind of the same, but have been specified a little bit. Still in no specific order, because that is way too much work. It was hard enough trying to get the list compiled. So, Elizabeth Hurley, specifically from Bedazzled, because I don't know, I have a thing. Just, I don't know what it is.
Well, she's hot.
Well, yes, but also the tough chicks. I don't know what it is.
Like kick-ass chicks.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But then there's Emma Watson, as Emma Watson, because Emma Watson is amazing
Anything
all around.
She does.
Just, oh my goodness. Anna Kendrick.
Nice.
Really as anything, because it's Anna Kendrick. Like, I was going through Facebook and I came across, like, it said 10 plus. It did not nearly show the scope of what this list was going to be. And it was just like a list of all the funniest tweets from her, which were hilarious. I only got to like 40 some, and I was maybe halfway through the pages.
Wow.
You tried to trick me, and it nearly worked for me to go through every single one, because it only said 10 plus.
So you're like, oh, that's probably like, what, 15?
Yeah, 15, maybe 20.
Otherwise they'd say 20.
Yeah, just those, they're sneaky. But okay. Then we have Emma Stone. I'm okay with Emma Stone as Emma Stone, or more specifically as Gwen Stacy, because sometimes my heart can't handle it.
The feels.
The feels. Oh my god. And then Willa Holland. She plays Thea Queen on Arrow.
Ah, yes. Okay.
So Thea Queen. Oh my goodness. Just, I found a theme.
Tough chicks.
I don't know why.
You don't need to know. Mine goes somewhere between, like, super, like, nerdy guys to, like, sophisticated cowboys. So, like, not like
sophisticated cowboys,
right? Because they have that, like, southern charm, and
mixed with the intelligence.
But
just
they're smart.
Like, yeah.
They're not, because if you can't challenge me in a conversation, then I'm bored with you. In friendship, and then relationship. That's so, and so.
Sophisticated cowboy.
I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. That's how
amazing.
I explain it,
I don't know. I have this weird thing where it's like crazy, tough as nails, and then really, really shy. It's like, I don't know what it is. Mm-hmm. It's just, there is no normal for me.
Everything is normal. Let's just stay right there.
Okay.
There is nothing that is unnormal. Abnormal. Abnormal. That's the actual word. Unnormal is not a word.
It is now.
It is now. There's nothing abnormal about any of it. So
no, I'm just saying like it's no middle ground.
Gotcha.
I don't go for the average. I go for the outliers. So it's either like one extreme or the other. That's it. Not I don't know what it is.
I like it.
It's because I'm crazy.
Well, we knew this already.
Thank you. Because I say that, and sometimes people are like,
"You're not crazy."
They doubt me.
Yeah.
Or they forget. Apparently, have blacked out how much time they've spent with me, and it's a surprise.
Well, given our friend group and given us, crazy is normal. Like, so
it's the standard. If you're not crazy in our group, then you're not in our group.
Yeah. I mean, like, I honestly sometimes worry, like, I don't worry. I wonder, what do normal people do with their lives? Like, average
I don't
people.
know.
Like, their lives must be so boring.
It must be. I mean, like, I've told you about this the other day, but to let everyone else know, this is the type of conversations that we can have. Like, you and me, we're driving up to the D&D game, and we talked about a utopia. What would be our utopia?
Yeah.
That was our conversation. And then I remember telling you about how the conversation I was having with another one of our mutual friends that was about my lunch at work and how every part of it was a tragedy.
Right.
And then had to proceed to go into how much of a tragedy it was about how, like, the macaroni and cheese, the cheese was, like, 12 years old. And so the cow that it came from is already dead and is over in the meat department. And how it was, like, used till it was dried up. And it was just, like, old, and the skin was sagging, and it was just, nope, not good. And we just kept going.
That picture that you just described, so appetizing.
Yeah, I know. That was the whole point. And I still kept eating. I don't have much. What is boundaries?
It would take more than that.
Yes. It takes more than that to get me to stop eating. Oh my.
Well, it is a very rainy spring day here.
Mm-hmm.
And it is hard for me to stay focused on pretty much anything. Because it is definitely one of those, like... Alright, I know what Netflix and chill means to other people. I'm not that sweet summer child.
What does Netflix and chill mean other than hanging out and watching Netflix?
Okay, I want you to say hanging out and watching Netflix, but I want you to put quotes around hanging out.
Okay, there are quotes around hanging out.
Sweet summer
hanging
child.
Out.
Are you dogging me right now? Okay, good. But this is definitely like a Netflix and chill moment.
Literally lay in the bed, wrapped up in blankets.
That's what I mean when I say that.
Watching Netflix.
I don't
None
care
of this
what
other
crazy
extracurricular activities.
Because I hate to break it to you, if I'm sitting down to watch Netflix, I kind of want to watch what I'm going to watch. If I want to, do the other thing, then I want to do the other thing. I don't want to, let's come up with a pretense as to why you're over at my house. People, let's grow up.
Yeah. Like, do you really... Is that part of your relationship so dependent upon having something else to get you there?
Right.
That you can't just be like, hey, you want to...
Right.
The horizontal mambo?
The horizontal
mambo. Yeah, the horizontal mambo.
I like that one.
Or you can do the vertical butterfly. I mean, whatever's your preference.
The vertical butterfly. Yeah. Like, are you considering the swimming technique or an actual butterfly? Oh man, this is gonna have so many peaks of my laughter.
That's a completely different thing when you start taking in the butterfly swimming technique, because then That's the vertical. That's the wet vertical butterfly. What? That's something completely different. It's
Bryce.
got some same compartments, but it's not. It is a little bit different. I'm literally making this up.
I know.
So this is not.
I was thinking of cruder things that I could say, but I decided maybe not.
Yeah, I was trying not to go that far. I definitely can. That is not an issue.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I was trying to skirt around and just keep in the made up stuff instead of actually going into the real things, which I could also go into.
I'm sorry. I'm also a little loopy because I'm very tired.
That is understandable. Yes, it's a nice dreary day outside. It is a nice dreary day.
And can I tell you that there is a new show that I'm obsessed with on Netflix?
Oh, what?
It's called Terrace House. Not, as I first heard it, Terrorist House.
The thing is, I knew exactly what you said.
That's why I had to very clearly define it, because I heard about this from a podcast that I listened to called My Brother and My Brother and Me, and one of the brothers was talking about how he's obsessed with this show, and then the other two brothers started watching it. Now they all really like it. But every time they kept talking about it, I kept hearing Terrorist House, but they kept equating it to, like, the real world Bachelorette, like, meet each other. And I was like, why are you watching that with terrorists? I don't understand. Is this a real show, or is this a fake show that you made up? But it's Terrace House, like Terrace, which the only reason I know how to spell that is because I had lived on a street that was a terrace. Anyway, it's the first one. There's two shows of it. It's a Japanese show that Netflix has picked up and is now running, which is super cool. The first one is called Terrace House, Boys and Girls in the City, and it's 6 people, 3 boys, 3 girls. And by boys and girls, that's a loose term. They're like 21 to 28, like that's the age range on it. So they're not really boys or girls, but anyway, so they're like living together in this like super plush house. And by super plush house, I mean both American and Japanese standards. I've always believed that Japanese, especially in Tokyo, because they're in Tokyo proper, right? I always believed that Tokyo, like, because there were so much and the city was so large, that the apartments are very, very small. You know, that you could have a family living in an apartment that we would consider maybe 2 people would live in. But it would be a family of 4 or so. Not cramped, because they utilize that space well, but just, you know, it's not a large space. And generally that's true for, like, European houses and stuff. If you ever watch, like, House Hunter International or something like that, and you see Americans go across these, they're like, this kitchen is so small. I was like, no. Like everything, Americans like bigger portions. But anyway, this is a huge house. Anyway, by American standards, it's a really nice apartment. But they're living in this apartment. Some of them are working. Some of them are going to school. Most, like, half of them are in their last year of university. And I guess, because this is like a second or so season of this show, so a season that we have not seen because it's not on our version of Netflix, America, not the Japanese version of Netflix. It has it on there. I guess there's a bit of like a romance thing. Like people go there and just, like in the real world, people tend to hook up with each other or whatever. But it's really fascinating to watch because unlike the real world, it does not feel, or The Bachelorette, it does not feel as scripted. And by that, I obviously don't mean like a literal script, but like producers like poking people and making them say
like,
or do
hey, we kind of want you to do
things.
this kind of a thing. Can you do this kind of a thing? Because we really want you to do this kind of a thing.
Or, can you say that again, but say it so that it encapsulates itself? You know, but this is much, it seems at least. It could be anything, you know, TV's a business, even real reality TV is not reality. But this seems more real. So, yeah, I've watched, like, there are 18 episodes of this season, I guess. And they're only half an hour long, which is nice. And I've watched like 3 or 4 of the episodes already. And yeah, like, that's all I want to go do now is I just want to go curl up in bed and go, like, watch. And then they've got another one that's called Terrace House Aloha State. And that one's set in Hawaii. But it's also Japanese. But I believe some of them, like, I believe it might be Japanese Americans or Japanese exchange students or so on. I don't know because obviously I haven't started watching that one yet. But it seems interesting. But can I tell you, just real quick before we move on to another topic, the food, Bryce.
Just that last minute, real quick, very important. The food.
Yeah. I love Japanese food. I follow like 2 or 3 Japanese food Instagrams. I took Japanese in college. It's interesting actually listening to it. I can remember some of the stuff, and subtitles is helping with that. I can't speak conversationally, and I can't read Japanese. That was I was better at the grammar and some of the vocab, but I was terrible at reading and writing because there are 3 different alphabets, as it were, in Japanese reading and writing. Uh-huh. And I'm not good at any of them. But after 3 years of college, I could technically read at a preschool level.
I can read.
Yeah. It was funny because
the cat says meow.
Yeah. I mean, it was funny because my sensei actually bought, like, easy reader books and, like, photocopied them so that we could take them home and, like, practice our writing and stuff. They were obviously meant for, like, kindergartners or so. But, yeah, that's pretty much what I can read and write at. I would love to. I keep waiting for Duolingo to come out with a Japanese. Mm-hmm. They have Japanese to English. They don't have an English to Japanese version yet. They have Klingon, but they don't have Japanese.
Don't get me wrong. The concept of having Klingon is great because I love the nerddom. Mm-hmm, but you don't have Japanese, but you have Klingon.
Yeah. But back to the food. The food. I love Japanese food. I pretty much try. I succeed some days. I would eat sushi every single day. I pretty much eat it once a week. My mom and I go out to lunch and eat sushi. This food looks so much better. Like, the fact that you can go into a grocery store, seemingly, it's not inexpensive, but you could buy sushi-grade fish, take it home, and make yourself, like, the first night, they just made themselves hand-roll sushi. No, it's not, like, completely compacted or whatever. It's mostly that they had, like, a sheet of seafood, sushi rice, and then whatever filling, and they just kind of smushed it like we would a taco and eat it. But that's still delicious. So I'm enjoying watching them cook all of the delicious food.
Just why do you love the show so much? The food?
The food. I mean, there's relationships there, and it is super cute to watch or whatever, but the food, man. The food. And Tokyo. I mean, if there's one place I wish that I could... on my bucket list is to not just visit Japan, but to be able to live in Japan for a year. On my bucket list is to be able to live in New York City for a year, too. Which is far more obtainable, but I would love to be able to, like, live in Japan and just immerse myself in the culture. Now, the downside to that is that I would probably not be able to speak much Japanese because I have a friend who actually is in Japan. She also took it in college and then got a part of a program that's called the JET program, where if you have a degree, it doesn't matter what it's in, you can work overseas as a teacher and teach English to, middle schoolers or so on. And people, when they realize you're American, which, I mean, obviously you look American, but they will just start speaking English because they want to practice their English on you. So you don't get to speak a lot of Japanese. So I probably wouldn't be able to practice that, and my accent is, so terrible. Oh, so terrible, because inflection matters. Like, inflection matters a lot. And I naturally inflect what I say to show, like, I emphasize what I feel is the most important part of the sentence. Mm-hmm. where if your inflection is actually used to denote different words from each other. Like my favorite example is that ame is rain. Ame is candy. So get those wrong, and a sentence will not make sense. So ame.
The candy's really coming down today.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm sure that somebody would get what I was saying, but at the same time, no.
So, ame is rain.
Mm-hmm.
And ame is candy. Okay, then.
Yeah. So if I were to say, like, ame desu, that means it is raining. Like it is outside right now. Japanese is a fun language. I still have my books. Now, granted, my textbooks that I took in college in 2011 were from 1987, so some of the words are a little outdated. Like, they don't talk about Russia, but they talk about the Soviet Union. So, but I would like to learn again. I have to reteach myself. I might break down and get Rosetta Stone or something. I would keep waiting for Duolingo because it's free, but...
Yeah. No, I took... in elementary school, they started teaching us Spanish, and it was just like a 30-minute thing.
That's so cool.
So we did that for a few years, and then once I got into middle school, you could go ahead and start taking Spanish as an elective. So I did. So I took Spanish for all 3 years, and I stopped because at that time I was exceptionally shy. And so this whole, outgoing and like performing thing was not even remotely close to what I wanted to do. And so
I can relate.
So I could not do it anymore because in 8th grade, my teacher was what I like to call a wannabe drama teacher, because like almost every day was just acting out scenarios to talk about it. So I was just like, I don't want to do this. So I'm already struggling. We only had like kind of knowledge about the Spanish, like not enough for us to hold like a full conversation.
Right.
So to have to go up and act while trying to speak Spanish,
no, thank you.
So I stopped, and then I took 1 year of French, and that was it. And don't get me wrong, I have nothing against French. It's just by that point I was just like, I don't care anymore. Mm-hmm. But I have wanted to learn multiple languages. Mm-hmm. And I do mean multiple languages. Like, if I could know, like, 6 or 7, that would be fantastic.
That would be so cool.
Because I always have this thing of when somebody comes through the store and they don't really speak English that well, I always have this feeling of, like, I could learn this. And then there would be no issues. Mm-hmm. It's never a thing of, you need to learn English better. No, I could learn that. Mm-hmm. And then I could just know all of it. And then nobody could talk about me behind my back. Because then I'd be like, I know what you're saying. Hi there.
I took Spanish in high school, middle school, high school. They did not offer it in elementary school. I'm glad that that's more and more of a thing, because it's easier to learn a second language when you're younger. Because then you're more apt to learn it like in the same way that we learn English, which is just by exposure. More than anything else, where when they teach it in middle school, high school, college, you're learning it like it's history class, where these are names and dates and things that you have to remember, as opposed to just, how do you learn English? You just you learn how to associate that this means this. But I took Spanish. I did not take French because I have dyslexia, so I can't really spell well in English. And the French don't always pronounce all of the letters in a word. So I was not even going to attempt that. But at least with Spanish, you do get most of the word, most of the letters are exactly the way it's spelled, exactly the way it's pronounced. I'm sure that there are exceptions, but at a very low level, it's true. And I've tried to teach myself again and again. Again, Duolingo. I've tried the Spanish thing, and I'm good at it, but I'm terrible at I'm great at being lazy, and I'm terrible at actually following through on stuff. So I'll follow through for like a week or two, and then I won't. But I do feel that Americans need to learn Spanish. It's like, if you're in England you learn French and German because you could take a day trip to France, you know. And if you are on the mainland in Europe, you learn French, German, English, Spanish, because you have neighbors, you know, country-wise. And because most Canadians, or the ones you want to talk to anyway, speak English, because French Canadians don't want to talk to you. They're too busy being French Canadians. That's just true. Like, they're like, ugh. But,
I'll be French.
Yeah, they don't like the French either. They're French Canadians. It's like, we are not French.
They're the French people that were so disgusted by everyone that they started hating
we shall
the
build
other
our own
French.
Country, our own province. With blackjack and hookers. Forget the province. But anyway, so I mean, we only have 2 neighbors. We got Canada and we've got Mexico. And so Spanish is the obvious one. Mm-hmm. And I think that the more that it becomes present in early and elementary school and all through public school, it'll be less of a, like, issue.
Yeah.
With people being all, like, non-pluralistic. That's the word I'm going to go with. Non-pluralistic. Because it sounds better. It sounds polite. Well, maybe we'll learn Spanish again together.
Alrighty then. And then we'll have an entire Spanish episode.
Oh, whoa.
In 3 years' time.
I'm about to say, if we want to talk about balloons and, like, I got far enough in the Spanish lessons that I can talk about some food, some animals, and clothes. So if we want to have a conversation about food, animal, and clothes and their respective colors, then I'm your girl. I can speak at a kindergarten level.
All right. So I think we came up with the idea of doing lovely, random, trying to be insightful.
Yeah, let's set the scene. I was trying to with the rainy day, and I got sidetracked talking about Netflix instead. But it's so rainy. We both basically sat down and were like, what do you want to talk about? I don't know. All right, let's just find a topic. So we went online, and we looked up random topics, and Bryce found...
Deep conversation topics for teens.
So, I mean, I've been a teenager a long time ago. And you were a teenager not so long ago. And, so yeah, I figure we can...
Yeah, it's only been like, what, 20, 30 years?
20, 30. You're not that old.
It feels like I'm that old.
I've been around for 20 years.
Alright, so well, actually, you kind of already answered this. If you had the opportunity to travel anywhere in the world, where would you go?
I would go to Japan. Mm-hmm. I would go to New York. I have this fascination with the idea of traveling to Prague, but I don't really care about other major cities in Europe that other people care about, like Paris, Rome, meh. I'm sure that if I had the opportunity, I wouldn't say no, but they're not ones that strike me. And then again, if I could go live in London for a year or travel to Ireland, all over Ireland, I would be a happy camper. Mm-hmm. You too? That's Spanish.
I would definitely like to go to New York. That would be really cool. I've always wanted to. I did want to go to Paris, mostly because of the Louvre. Because I've wanted to go visit the Louvre. But going to London would be cool. Ireland would definitely. I would like to go to Ireland. But I mean, really, I would love to travel. Just really anywhere. I mean, those would be like the big ones, but just anywhere's fine. I have such limited experience traveling that it's just like, I don't care. Let's go somewhere.
Where are the places you've been?
Well, I've been up to Maryland because I went to go see a Pretty Reckless concert in Silver Springs, Maryland. So it was me and a couple friends, and we went to Cambridge, Maryland, where one of my friend's brother lived, and we stayed there with him. And so that's not too long from Silver Springs.
No, it isn't.
So we stayed there, went over to the concert, and then came back, and it was like 3 days. And so that was really cool. And then I've been to Pennsylvania, and yeah, that's like it. Oh, I've been to Washington, D.C. like 4 times.
Well,
3 of which was with school.
Well, truthfully, there are people that have never been to Washington, D.C. Like, there are people who live in the middle of our country that have probably never been to the capital because they don't live as close as we do. Yeah, D.C. was a day trip. Because where I lived in Maryland, we were about an hour and a half, depending on traffic, away. So there would be a lot of Saturdays that would be like, it would be nice or it would not be nice. And so we'd go, if it was a nice day, we'd travel to the National Mall, and hit all the Smithsonian. If it was not a nice day, then we would go specifically to we'd go to Baltimore and we'd hit the National Aquarium because that's all indoors, and things like that. Or the Natural History Museum because they have the cool exhibits. Because when you're a small child, you don't really care about the art museums as much. And they didn't have, the Spy Museum or anything. I haven't been to D.C. since I've moved down here. That was 5 or 6 years ago, so 5 years ago maybe. I haven't been to D.C. since then. So I would need to go back and visit the National Mall again.
Yeah, the last time I've been there was back in high school. But one of the cool things was, I think it was the last time that I went, was we actually went to the White House.
Oh, neat.
Yes.
I've never been there.
That was a pain to get in. It was 6 months ahead of time, having to send in all of this information for background checks and everything else.
Yeah.
Just to get in. So, but that was pretty cool.
I've been to Capitol Hill, but I've never sat in on a session. Apparently it's difficult to do that as well. You need, the best way to ensure that you can is to talk to your local congressperson and get permission that way, apparently. Because I took a trip, one of my spring breaks, friends came home with me. Again, they were from Ohio and New York. They had not been to D.C. before. Or one of them had gone on a band trip and they had an hour in D.C. on the National Mall, which is just about enough time to get nowhere and do nothing. So they came home with me and we traveled to DC a couple of days. But I've been to the Library of Congress. If you've never been there, that's super fun. And the National Archives, where you get to see the Declaration of Independence and such.
That's cool.
That's a lot of fun. Yeah. I went to the Holocaust Museum before it was on the National Mall. It used to be in Baltimore. That in a blink and you'll miss it. If you didn't know where it was, you wouldn't see it. But I went to the Holocaust Museum before they moved it, and I would be interested to see what, if anything, had changed and see that again.
I did actually go to the Holocaust Museum, and I believe that was afterwards, I guess. And it was very interesting.
It's a somber occasion.
Yes.
It is not one where you're oh my god, we went and I loved it. You enjoy isn't the right word either because of terrible atrocities that happen, but you feel better and more enlightened, and that I guess is
you appreciate it.
Yes, that's the right word, appreciate it. Because it is not at all, and we went on a field trip when we were 16. We were studying World War II, and there was a lot of prep work beforehand. There was a lot of this is what you do, this is what you don't do. As you probably know, a lot of the exhibits are actually behind a higher wall, it's not in your face, which is nice. So if you wanted to, you could go up to the wall and see into the exhibit. But if you did not feel comfortable doing so, you wouldn't walk into a room and see a picture of some emaciated person and instantly be triggered with some emotion that you weren't ready to comprehend.
Yeah, they definitely do a good job of making it so that they understand the severity of the exhibits there.
Yeah. And
they have made it so that, because even if you're okay with some of the stuff, after a while it can definitely become too much.
I went through, and again I was 16, and 16 was a very vulnerable age for me personally, because I was going through a lot of personal stuff. And so there was some of it that I went through I do remember they have like a pile of shoes or something. I do remember that. But yeah, towards the latter half of the exhibit, and they do a good job, or at least the one that I went to, when I went to it, of kind of like not ramping you up, but like easing you in to it. But towards the end, I really couldn't, dive deep in, and I just kind of like did a cursory glance of stuff because it is a lot, But I do believe that everybody who has an opportunity should go at least once. My sisters did not have that opportunity because it was my class went. It was not a like everybody in 10th grade goes. So they hadn't had an opportunity to go, and I know that they would like to because it is something that I think it is too easy to ignore stuff that's painful than to really like dive in and understand that these things happen, and the only way to stop them from happening is to remind yourself that we are all on this organic spaceship together. We're all hurtling through space on this organic ship that we call Earth. But when I was younger, we took a lot of trips. My dad's from South Dakota, so we would take trips to South Dakota to visit family, and he's from the Deadwood, South Dakota area. Or he is from Deadwood, South Dakota, and that's where Mount Rushmore is, and the Black Hills, and Custer State Park, and Little Bighorn. Yeah. I don't like the idea that it's named Custer State Park because Custer was a terrible person who just... And it doesn't help that I am related to the Lakota Sioux people. So the people that he like massacred are my ancestors. So, but I've been to the Mount Rushmore a couple of times. And that is an interesting experience in that it is way smaller than you think it is. And by that, I mean, it is huge. It is carved in the side of a mountain. But the exhibit, you can't get but so close to it. And they have in recent years moved back the pavilion. So you are so far away that it looks like tiny in comparison. Where if you see a picture of Mount Rushmore, because they're using that, zoom in lens, it looks big, and it is. It's a whole side of a mountain, but you're probably like a half mile away from that mountain. But the fun part of that is that the last time I went, they had actually expanded the exhibit to include the making of it, which that's like a trials and tribulations, because sometimes it was going well, and he had a vision of one thing, and it didn't work out, so we had to change it. And this was also where a lot of new blasting techniques come from, because they had to blast parts of the mountain away and then hope that they could then chisel it into the president's face. It wasn't like somebody like standing there with like a little hammer like nicking away. But in there they have a slab of granite that has a list of all the people that worked on the project. And I don't remember the name exactly, but one of them is a relative of mine. So that was fun to go and see that.
That's cool.
So, been there. My mom's a history buff, so we visited a lot of history, Civil War mostly, because a lot of the Civil War takes place in the South, and a lot of the Revolutionary War took place in the North. So I prefer the Revolutionary War over the Civil War, but a lot of the battlefields that were near us are Civil War based. So I've been there. Took a trip up to Maine and Nova Scotia once. I was young, so the parts that I remember are probably the like oddball parts. Like I remember it was the summer, it was late summer, it was like July, August, and we went to the beach, but the water was only 50 degrees. So we literally spent 20 minutes at the beach because you get in, it's way too cold. You get back out again. And there's points at the coast in Nova Scotia where the tide goes out so much that you can walk and stand on the sea floor like a mile down because the tide will exit. And you're standing on the floor and you look and there's the actual sea level above you. That is fun. As a kid, it was a lot of fun. we got there kind of late in the day, and once we got to the ground, like the national park area, one of the rangers came out and said, "Folks, I don't mean to alarm you, but the tide is coming in, so I'm going to have you follow me this way because you don't have enough time to get to the stairs." So it turns out that the tide was coming in, so we had to go around the seabed to make it to a different set of stairs because we didn't have time to make it to the original stairs that we came in, which seemed like an adventure, you know, when you're a kid. And it was, I mean, we all made it, obviously. And then we died.
Like the normal view is just like a whole bunch of people calmly walking up to the stairs and going up the stairs as the water's like still plenty behind them. Oh, it's still
plenty.
But in the kids' mind, it's just everybody running full out, screaming as the tide is just rushing behind them. You know, some people disappear because they're not fast enough, and you just barely get to the stairs.
I mowed over a 60-year-old woman because
she was in the way.
There was actually what we thought was an observation deck that wasn't. It was a deck that they built in case somebody couldn't make it, so that they could at least get to the stairs there and climb up, and the water would just come to the bottom of that observation deck. It would take, 3 hours for them to come fish you out, but it was a lot. That was a lot of fun. I'd like to go to Montreal, Canada, too. Don't know why. Just want to go. We were planning a family vacation there one year, and then at the last minute had to cancel. So my mom and I were reading a whole bunch of travel books and planning the vacation. Again, I was young. And then at the last minute, we couldn't go. So I guess maybe that's what it is I have this fascination. But what's the next question?
Next question is, what is your major goal in life?
Oh, God. What's the next question? I like how a teenager, this is one of those things that as a teenager, you think that you're supposed to have the answer to.
Yeah.
And I am now at least 10 years older than my teenage self. Yeah, because I'm 29 and the last teen would be 19. So, yeah. And I don't have a goal in my life. How are you supposed to have it figured out? Just do what you want.
My goal is very simple. Not die. Just not die too early. That's really it.
I was like, your body will pretty much take care of homeostasis for you.
No. Just not die too early. That's really it. Just survive until I can try and figure out something else. Something actually pertinent to the world and an actual life goal instead of just not dying too early. But that's all I got right now.
That's actually kind of deep. Survive until something else comes up. Yeah, I got you there.
All right. What do you think you will be doing 10 years from now?
If you'd asked me this question a year ago, I would have not really had an answer for you. Probably just going through life the same way I do. I honestly believe in 10 years I'll be married. 10 years is a long time. But... yeah.
Well, there you go.
That's pretty much the only thing that I think will change between now and then. I still don't think I'll know what I want to do with my life, and then I'll be approaching 40. I don't think I will have obtained any of that in my life yet, but yeah.
Well,
if I'm not married by the time I'm 39, then it's probably just not going to happen.
Well, for me, and this will actually kind of go back to the other thing of just, I got it. I got an answer for the major goal in life, and
10 years from now?
And 10 years from now.
All right, hit me. Lay it down.
10 years from now, I would like to have tried a lot of different things. I want to, hopefully this goes somewhere. Mm-hmm. Hopefully we try to expand it. Try and start that nerd bar that we were talking about.
I forgot about the nerd bar for a second. Mm-hmm.
And then 10 years from now, I want to have at least attempted all of that. Now, don't get me wrong, we may not succeed at all, but
trying is a success into itself.
Yeah. And so so my major goal is really just, maybe not to even just find one specific thing, but to just live my life trying just a little bit of everything. So that, like, I may have 50 things to do in a single day because I've tried it all and I've liked it all. But that's what I would like to do. It's just, you know what, try a little bit, expand my knowledge base, my experience base, you know, just try it all.
I agree. 10 years from now, we should definitely have that nerd bar up and running.
We got this.
Yeah. I mean, 10 years is a long time.
It is. It's even longer than 3 years. And in 3 years, we were already planning on having this be a thing.
Yeah.
So
that's
we have an entire
halfway.
we have an entire 7 more years after that to get the nerd bar up and running.
To get our shit together.
Yeah. So, alrighty. If you got a tattoo, what would it be and why is that your choice?
I have actually thought about this before. I really, really, really want a tattoo. The concept of the tattoo has changed several times over. I like the idea of getting a tattoo on my inner right wrist because I am right-handed. I've thought about getting an infinity symbol, and then I thought, that's really cliche. I only want an infinity symbol if I get my sisters to get it as well, which, if we can ever convince the youngest, she goes back and forth. She's like, oh, I want a tattoo. Oh, I'm scared. I don't want a tattoo. If we can ever convince the youngest, all 3 of us, I really want to get sister in Elvish, from Lord of the Rings Elvish, not just some made-up Elvish. I mean, obviously it's made up, but like Tolkien actually put serious thought into the language, so it's an actual language. It's just nobody speaks it. But sister in Elvish, because me and my sisters, there was a time in high school when we would come home and watch Lord of the Rings like every single day. We couldn't afford cable, so we didn't have like TV or anything to watch, and we just sat down. It didn't matter. We had all 3 of the extended editions, and we would just pick out a DVD, probably even halfway through the movie technically, and just pop it in, do our homework and watch it. So like the Lord of the Rings is one of those things that we just watch. And I keep thinking that we need to have like a weekend where we just all come home and watch it again because it's been a while. But I would do that. My most recent one is the idea of getting on my ankle a charm bracelet. And then I can have a charm for all the different things that I love, like a charm for D&D, a charm for Harry Potter, a charm for baking, you know, a charm, like everything that I could think of so that I don't have to necessarily choose one tattoo. Because I will say, I don't want multiple tattoos. I do want a tattoo. I would probably get the charm bracelet to cover all the nerdy stuff that I love. And then I would probably get one really special tattoo, again, on my inner right wrist. Also, because then if I'm like having a really crappy day, like I get to just see that and like remember what it's for. Like remember that it's worth it. So I want something really symbolic on my wrist. And then the charm bracelet thing is just like a fun, like if I ever, because then also, you know, if I ever get the itch to get another tattoo, I can just add another charm and not have to actually worry about a whole new tattoo.
I mean, I've only ever had like 2 ideas for a tattoo.
I thought you were about to say I've only really had 2 tattoos before. I was like, really, Bryce?
No, I haven't had the money.
I've had 2 tattoos. I've had them both removed.
I regretted them instantly. To be 18. No, I have never had any tattoos. I've thought about it. The most recent one has been the thought of getting on my right forearm, right below the crevice for my elbow, of getting the like bleeding Superman Doomsday symbol. I thought about that, and that's the semi like reasonable one. The other one, which was the first one that I came up with years ago, that has not changed, that would be something that would not be the first tattoo I got. Because it is a full back tattoo. Yes.
Wow.
Of It wouldn't cover the whole thing, but it would stretch down to my lower back, so there would still be plenty of space. It's just, it would still be a very large tattoo of 2 like black angel wings with like a sort of gothic cross in the middle. And I always wanted to have like a dark red gem in the center of it, and then coming from those are like these black spiked chains that come out and wrap around the wings, and so then you see also where some of the spikes are digging in, so you see like the blood coming out because it's so tight that it's literally cutting into it.
Wowsy.
Yeah.
That seems very beautiful. Very painful all at the same time.
Yep. So that was the first one I thought of, and that is not going to be, if I ever get one, it's not going to be the first one I get.
No. Well, that would be something you have to get in stages anyway.
Yeah. So then just outline, and then one side, and then the other side.
And then fill in. Yeah. It's funny, actually, I drive by a tattoo parlor on my way home every day, and there are some days that I just want to turn right and go in and be like, all right, I want a tattoo. Because I've talked about it for years now. And, well, what about work and this, that, and the other? And I'm like, I don't care about that stuff. Truthfully, if anybody really... I feel like the general mindset is changing when it comes to tattoos, and there's not that much of a deal. My thought is, as long as it's not offensive, then what does it matter?
All right.
So yeah, if any of these questions piqued your interest and you want to let us know, you can comment. You can like or share us on Facebook at Ancient B, ANCIENT, capital B, or you can tweet at us some of your answers to these questions at Ancient B with 3 E's. I like saying it that way. I don't know why. Because that's how long we had to go to get a real username. I'm Heather, and you can find me all over the interwebs at The Fae Lady, TheFaelady.
And then if you want to give me talk about these with me personally, or give us any ideas for future episodes, or any questions that you think you would like to hear our answers about, then you can get in touch with me on Facebook under my name, Bryce Furman. I'll be attached to the Ancient B page, or on Twitter under B Fizzman, BFIZZMAN. So please feel free to share your answers to these questions. Like I said, any questions that you think would be good for us to talk about.
People have started commenting on the YouTube episodes, and I'm trying to get back and start a conversation. I really appreciate it, because that's going to be the next thing, is I really want to try to start a whole community thing. I think we might have to add a discussion board to